We just want to jump in real quick into your podcast feed with this mini episode about some breaking news that happened this week. On Thursday, February 19th, 2026, former Prince Andrew was arrested in England, and we thought we'd hop on the mics. We've talked about the royal family before on this podcast, back when we talked about Princess Diana. We talked a little bit about Andrew. We have not talked about Jeffrey Epstein at all. We have not done an episode on that, but we want to just do a mini episode here and talk a little bit about our reactions to what's going on in England with this case, with this situation, and bring that to you now.
All right, so Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor, former Prince Andrew, was taken into custody on his 66th birthday, no less. For those of you who have been following, Andrew was a big name in the Epstein files, apparently involved in a lot of the abuse and
trafficking allegations, sexual abuse allegations.
Yeah. So his arrest actually was not related directly to that, but it related to misconduct in public office. Basically, giving away some state secrets is my understanding of the case so far. What's so wild about this, Jeff? Well, first of all, what do you know about Prince Andrew? I can't call him Prince Andrew. What do you know about former Prince Andrew?
To be honest, not a lot. Like, I know he is one of Queen Elizabeth's children. He's Charles's younger brother, right?
Yeah.
Like, he's a younger brother. I feel like I've mostly heard about him in connection to the Epstein documents as they've come out. And like, we've seen pictures of him, some pretty disgusting things, and just know that he's pretty wrapped up in that. But yeah, I've learned a lot about him just recently in connection to this. But you said something earlier that a little background on him. So he was the favorite son of Elizabeth. Is that right?
Yes, seemingly he was like the favorite son. He was always doted on by his mother. In 2019, a BBC interview regarding his ties with Jeffrey Epstein came out, and that ended up with him stepping back from public duties. His mother, more or less, Queen Elizabeth at the time, shielded him. He was basically in like hiding, but in a palace. That's the Epstein situation.
Can I ask you a question about this? So. When we talked about Diana, we got a little bit of like background of the royal family, and kind of Elizabeth and Charles and Diana, but also like the broader kind of orbit of all of these folks. And he's part of that, right? Like he's very much like close to that, but also in this other circle of like the rich and famous men who have now all been sort of associated with Jeffrey Epstein, whether it's, Donald Trump, Bill Clinton, Bill Gates, whomever, right? Like it feels like that circle just keeps getting wider and encompassing more and more of these rich men. But I'm curious, like prior to this coming out, and I don't know, I guess I don't have a feel on when the Epstein Andrew link came. What was your sort of perception of him?
Prior to this coming out, like the only thing I really knew about him was that he was married to Sarah Ferguson.
Okay.
And Sarah Ferguson I knew about because I remember hearing a lot about the interactions between Princess Diana and Sarah Ferguson. So they were basically, they had a really tumultuous relationship, kind of rivals, best friends. Then there was like a falling out, I think, because Diana felt betrayed by Fergie, as she's known, because a lot of details about Diana came out in Fergie's autobiography. And there's a lot we could go into on that, but we could spend all day talking about Princess Diana.
Sure. We have 2 other episodes on it.
Yeah. So that's kind of all I really knew about him before this. And then when this came out, do you remember the 2019? Do you remember the quotes and stuff from that interview?
What interview are we talking about?
So basically, right, the BBC, as part of a program called Newsnight, Prince Andrew was interviewed on it. So some of the key takeaways from that 2019 interview, there was some bizarre comments made, like Virginia Giuffre had said, you know, he was sweating profusely during an encounter that they had together. And Andrew was basically like, oh, that has to be a lie, because due to this situation in at the Falklands War, I have an inability to sweat because of an adrenaline overdose. So that was one of his things. The other one was he argued he was at a Pizza Express with his daughter for a birthday party on the day he was alleged to have been with Jeffrey. He also basically claimed he had no remorse or regret of having a friendship with Epstein. He said, like, the people I met and the opportunities I was given, like, lead me to have no remorse. This is the kind of level we're at.
Virginia Jeffrey was a woman who was underage, right? And there's an accusation of rape against him. She died by suicide. But I think her family has continued to kind of push this case.
Yeah.
But again, I guess one of the other things I want to ask about is, so he was arrested. So we're recording this on the 19th. So he was arrested today. He was held in custody for 11 hours, then released. And it sounds like this arrest wasn't about that.
No.
It was about this misconduct while he was in public office. Although the misconduct was apparently related to Jeffrey Epstein.
Yeah.
But still... So this has been sort of swirling around him for several years. He had to step down from being Prince Andrew and sort of, like you said, retreat from public life. But he was still living on this, 20,000 acre estate or whatever. And
yeah.
Do you feel like there were any consequences, or there will be any consequences really for him?
Yeah. So it wasn't tied actually to his allegations of, rape or sexual misconduct. It was actually down to breaching issues of security, and he has actually been released as of us recording this now. He was held for 11 hours. In the UK, you can be released and the investigation is still ongoing, and that investigation, they've come out to say, the Thames Valley Police have come out to say they are continuing on the investigation. So do I think anything is going to come of it? I'm not sure. But yesterday, before his arrest, I would have thought there was never going to be any bit of a consequence for him. So it seems now, since his mother is no longer protecting him, in October of 2025, King Charles III stripped him of remaining titles and forced him to leave his home. And then he ended up being arrested. So it feels like at least the veil of protection is being removed from him. So whether anything comes of this or not, it's hard to know. But another really interesting fact, though, Jeff, is that this is the first time in nearly 400 years an arrest of such a senior royal has happened in the UK. Just let that sink in. The first time in 400 years. And what's interesting, do you know who the person was before this who was arrested?
380 years ago?
Yeah.
I couldn't have told you, but I was reading a little bit about it today. It was what, King Charles the First?
Yeah.
Is that right?
King Charles the First was held and then he was later executed. But what was so fascinating about this was he was convicted of treason and he was executed. Which treason and selling state secrets, not the furthest reasons apart to have been arrested. So whether anything will come of this or not, I don't know. I think we need to hold out. I think we need to jump back on and have a chat as this does progress. Knowing what I know of the UK system, it's not going to be tomorrow. It's going to take a while. But I do think this is a pretty significant event to have happened. Yeah,
I think it's interesting. I mean, like I said, we haven't really talked about the Epstein case directly on this podcast before, but I would agree with you. I feel like these are hard to predict times. I mean, over these last couple of years, we've seen a U.S. president get arrested after he left office, between being in office. And that was also something that seemed like an impossibility, right? But then now we have a mugshot of a current now president. And I did look up because I was curious, because it seems like we keep hearing about, as more Epstein documents come out, as people are able to go through them, because it's millions and millions of pages and all the redactions and everything, and some redactions that are done better than others, but like I feel like we've heard about other people who have faced some variety of consequences.
Mm-hmm.
And I found this source. This is and I can link to this. This is from the New York Times of who has faced fallout from the Epstein file. And they group people by like what they're known for, and it's 9 people who are classified as, including Andrew, as associated with foreign politics, 6 people associated with, quote, business, 6 people from academia, 2 from law, and 1 from U.S. politics. And it's everything from being criminally charged to resigning from their positions and being under investigation. And, it's a pretty wide spectrum of people. I mean, there's one of the other notable ones is Thomas Pritzker, who was the billionaire heir to the Hyatt Hotels fortune, who stepped down from his role. There's Casey Wasserman, who is the chairman of the 2028 Los Angeles Olympics, and as of the recording of this podcast, is still the chairman of the 2028 Los Angeles Olympics, but has a talent agency and is losing clients left and right. Again, there's a bunch of other ones that I think it's just interesting to see. Like this is a group of people who I feel like all we ever talk about is how there are people who are
untouchable,
immune to any consequences, and can do whatever they want because they have enough money, they can afford it, and they back each other up. And that has been true for so long, and that may still be true in the end here, largely speaking, but not for everyone.
No, and I think Andrew is the case. Like in the UK, people would probably have said like the royal family like are untouchable. They're immune to stuff.
They protect each other.
Yeah, and also like there is a connection between the royals, the government, the police, like whether it's supposed to act like that, like there is that connection. And so this marks a huge turning point in the UK. And I think the feeling from what I've read is that it's going to mark a turning point for how we're going to move forward.
I mean, do you think, going back to our Diana discussion, like I feel like Diana was a huge, momentous pivot from everything that had come before. And then even like Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, in a different way, was also sort of like I wouldn't have believed this would be a thing that happens to the royal family. And then it did. And like over the last... Diana was 97? So like 30 years or so, like there have been sort of a string of things that in the hundreds of years before just didn't happen. And some of that I feel like was also like Elizabeth's remarkable control.
Yeah. And I think some might say like, well, is this like the start of the end? Is this part of the coming down of the royal family and the monarchy in the UK? And I think there's another way you can look at it, which is this the start of the royal family trying to take accountability for things that are reprehensible and not giving themselves immunity? Whether that is the case or not, we will see. I don't know where I'd put my money if I had to, but it's going to be interesting. I definitely think we should hop back on as anything else from this case comes up. And yeah, you're right. You've said a few times now, Jeff, we haven't covered the Epstein files. It's coming out so often. It's so disappointing and so upsetting. Everything you read about it. But as things do come out, maybe we'll have an opportunity to jump back on and do a short podcast of some other lowlife who thought that they were immune, but is actually being held somewhat accountable for their actions.
Yeah, love to do an accountability story. If you have thoughts on this case, on the story as it evolves, let us know. Leave us a comment on this episode in Spotify, Apple, wherever you're listening. Also, before we go, we definitely appreciate your support. If you want to give us more support, go over to patreon.com/so-much-crime, so little time. Check out all of the bonus content we have there. And thanks for listening.
So Much Crime, So Little Time is a production of MindGov Media. The executive producer is Paxton Caloriso. Our associate producer is Blythe Ty. The music was composed by Vyacheslav Starostin. If you haven't done it yet, please subscribe to this show in your podcast app. Don't forget to give us a 5-star rating and a review. Even better, tell your friends. To join the discussion, look for us on social media. Check out the show notes for all the links. Thanks for listening.